Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rivalz podcast, the podcast where two friends who are fans of rival teams talk about sports. We're your hosts, Drew and Noah, and today we're back. Took a little bit of a break, but we're back, and we're here to do the NBA rankings.
It's been 3 or 4 weeks, but now we'll be more consistent uploads. So we'll do our power rankings. We'll do a breeze by of the standings, and then we'll go on to the power rankings.
Yeah. So here's our schedule right here. Yeah, we just said, but
about a month ago, last time we did the NBA episode, pretty sure the Sixers were stay the same around those three. Knicks were the 4 seeds, dropped a little, but now they're on a hot streak. And if you look to the Western Conference, that's changed drastically.
Yeah. So real quick, let's just go over Eastern Conference. First 6 teams, we got Sixers have still been standing strong at first. Nets right behind them, picking it up. Bucks still out, they always do well. Hawks made a big jump to 4th place with 31 wins. 5th place Celtics, 31 wins. Knicks 6th place, 31 wins. So 4 through pretty much here's 7 through 15. 4 through 6 is very close, and then 7 through about
even not 9, pretty much 7 and 8 are pretty close, and then
you can obviously see right here 10, 11, and 12 fighting for that play-in spot are all really, really close. So Bulls have been a little disappointing after the Vucevic trade, though.
Yeah, so. And even if like that 10 seed, even if you're the worst team out of all those 10 seeds, like even if you have an awful record and you make the 10, you're still in the play-in game and you have a shot.
Yeah, you still got a shot to save your season. So now moving on to the Western Conference, we have the Jazz still in first place with 42 wins and 15 losses. The Suns have been making huge steps to be in second with 40 wins. Clippers also have 40 wins right behind them. Nuggets, and then you have a little bit of drop in wins. We have Nuggets, Lakers. Lakers without AD and LeBron, obviously. Just have been a little bit not too great. And then Trailblazers to round up your top 6. And then we have down here
7 through 15 for on the other side, Western.
This is very close to make
my team's in there. Still in the playoff hunt. But 7 through 9 is the Mavericks, Grizzlies, and the Warriors with all above 28 wins.
Yeah, you can see from 10 to 7, there's only a 1-win difference in each team.
Yes.
Warriors still fighting for that playoff spot, or play-in spot, I guess. Playoff spot, same thing. Spurs also, Drew's team, fighting for that playoff spot. Grizzlies fighting.
Dropping a little.
Yeah. But, it happens to every team.
Even if you win, but that's the thing about the West. It's a little closer than the East, where it's all dominant teams still. And if, say, the Spurs win 3 games in a row, they're suddenly the 7th seed.
Yeah, so now we have, under the play-in, we have the Pelicans who've been dropping a couple games, but also just still kind of right behind the Spurs. Kings and Thunder have been awful in the past 10 games, I think.
Yeah.
And
then you get the 2 worst teams.
Yeah, Rockets and
Western Conference.
Rockets, Timberwolves. Timberwolves are a little good, better, but
the record
Rockets not too great. So now let's move on to our NBA. I wouldn't say maybe kind of close to right before the playoffs, but power rankings.
So maybe we'll do one entering the playoffs, but here we'll start off with 30, and we'll go on all the way from down 30 to 1. So obviously we'll start with the worst team in the NBA in our minds, and that's the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, the Rockets.
It's almost become a little bit of a joke lately. See, their offense is not. John Wall is not like the leader he can be with players around them. Their team the charisma isn't there. So
Yeah,
it's just
it's
struggles all around.
They gave up a lot of their stars, really in rebuild mode right now, but it's just nothing's clicking. Injuries have been taking them down. It's just they just don't look like they're playing with a lot of passion. And if you're a long time, or I guess kind of pretty long time viewer of the channel, you know that Christian Wood is the MVP, but I mean, you can't do everything. But anyway, let's move on. 29th pick. 29th, what's it called? Ranking. We have the Pistons. The Pistons.
About, if you say it a week and a half ago, this would be the worst team in the NBA. Possibly, but they've started winning a few games against tough opponents, or even like giving runs to like the Nuggets. I know Knicks even had a little trouble for a little while, first half a few weeks ago. But so that's why we have them here. Obviously, they don't have any of their pieces anymore. They're in rebuild mode.
Yeah,
have been for a while.
Jeremy Grant's been a great candidate for most improved player. But they obviously made a trade with the Knicks for D Rose and Dennis with DSJ. They swapped. And Dennis Jr. still hasn't shown what he kind of showed in Dallas, where we thought he would be a really solid player. He's been okay though. Jeremy Grant's been a great bright spot for them, but other than that, not too great. Killian Hayes recently came back, but haven't seen too much from him either.
Yeah, and so the Pistons players, it's a lot of young talent, obviously with a few veterans, but expect possibly in the next 2-3 years, maybe they'll make a run. But as of right now, they're the 29th.
Yeah, so now we have 28th. We don't actually, let's not, once we get about top 20, top 15, we'll go a little bit slower, but right now we're going to kind of go speed through these ones, just to not bore you, So we have Timberwolves, after LaMelo got injured, Anthony Edwards has been the runner for Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year, yes.
And
obviously, Timberwolves have the worst record in the NBA currently, but even despite that, we still have them at 28 above the Pistons and Rockets because
they've just shown a lot more potential to be a better team.
Yeah, they've shown an explosiveness. And if you're thinking about, with Karl Anthony Towns, he is an insane player. And with him and Edwards, they could be a duo, possibly. And, their team I feel like they're built for a playoff run in the coming years. And if you sign a few big names, I think they're a great team.
If you look at them on paper, you see D'Angelo. Yeah, they have D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, all those guys. You look at them on paper, and it's just you think that'd be a playoff team.
Exactly. They're
it's just not clicking, I guess, for them, their chemistry and stuff. But yeah. So that's the Timberwolves.
Team here. I'll take it away here. We got the Cavs, and we did a video. That was our first NBA episode. We did one on them, and they were 9-9. They've dropped 27 games since then.
Yeah.
They're 20-36 currently, as of right now. They're 11-27 since we made that.
Yeah.
So
they kind of went off a cliff. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't have anything to compliment them. The only reason they're higher than the three teams we already said before is because they had already had more wins than those teams.
Yeah.
Sexton hasn't been good at all. It's just been a struggle for the Cavs.
Yes.
So I think they're
we were
going
saying
back to rebuild mode a little bit, but
we were saying Sexton should be an all-star in our first episode, but
yeah.
that really backfired. But yeah. So now, next team, we have the Orlando Magic. Magic recently made a trade with they made a lot of trades at trade deadline.
They just dealt all their
yeah, they pretty much dealt like their entire core. They had so they're in rebuild mode right now. They're going for some younger guys. They honestly didn't have too bad of a trade deadline. They got picks. They got a good future with like Wendell Carter Jr. But if you didn't know, they traded away Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, and their all-star Nikola Vucevic. They got back some young.
When you just hear about that, first of all, you think they're totally in rebuild mode. But like, if you really think about it, they're not doing all that bad. I mean, they're still winning games with Cole Anthony. Terrence Ross is a sharpshooter. I mean, it's not all that bad for them.
Yeah, one of their strengths is their young players. Wendell Carter Jr. they acquired from the Bulls in that trade. He's been pretty good for them, and hopefully he can be a good center for them to come. So, not too much to say about the Magic, other than their trade deadline.
Yeah. No. So the next team we have is the OKC Thunder, which I'll say they're similar to the Magic in this case.
Yeah, just
they're in rebuild mode.
They could be in the playoffs, maybe.
It's almost, if you compare them to the Magic, it's on paper it's a mismatch between them and the Magic, and you think, oh, the Magic will destroy them. But if you look at the Thunder, I'd even say the Thunder are closer to done with rebuild mode than the Magic are, because they've been doing this for a little while with the rebuild. They dished out Adams, Westbrook, and even Durant going back all the way.
Yeah,
so 2017.
If I'm checking this right now, the Thunder are on a very bad streak right now. They have lost 11 games in a row.
Yes, correct.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
11 games ago, you were looking at them at 20, their record 11 games ago was 20 and, let's see here, quick math, 27. 20 and 27. And you're thinking, wow, that's a pretty decent record for the Thunder, who we thought wouldn't be that great. And then, they go on that cold streak, lose 11 in a row. I mean, they didn't even play hard teams, to be honest,
No, not at all, but, yeah. So, that's the thing, like, I say that, like, you almost, like, they're close. I do still, despite their losing streak, it is a cold streak. Every team will have that, but let alone, like, I still do think that they're a little bit closer to playoff potential than the Magic are, only because I think Gilgeous-Alexander, even Dort.
Yeah, Dort's a great defender, so probably one of the best in the NBA. So, yeah. And with that losing streak, that kind of brings us swiftly on to the Kings, as they also, they actually just won their first game in, I don't know how many. I just know that they've lost. I think they lost nine in a row at least. And yeah, Thunder and them were on a very big cold streak. So they just
it's almost like who's gonna win a game first between those two.
Yeah, they beat yesterday. They beat the Mavericks. They kind of blew them out, but other than that, they dropped some games to like teams like the Timberwolves. They dropped the Pistons. They dropped games too, and you just can't have that when you're pushing for a playoff spot. De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, I mean Tyrese Halliburton. All these guys are on good. I don't know. It's just it's disappointing, to be honest. So
nothing too much to say. And then our next team, a little bit more to say about them. The Raptors. Obviously, Boucher with the nice shot a few days ago.
Yeah.
And the Raptors, I'd call them a dark horse. But they're not. Their offense still struggles and worries me. If you look at playoff teams in the Eastern Conference, it's almost a mismatch between the Raptors and them.
Yeah, and the thing about I just wanted to say, like, Siakam has just been really, I don't know, he's been kind of like, he's had chemistry issues. He hasn't been able to step up in the clutch like he did in those finals when Kawhi was there. He's just been very not too great this year. And the Raptors are suffering from it, as you can see with this record. We were all expecting them to be a top 4, top 3 seed, because they always do. But yeah,
not this year.
Yeah,
but they're still in the running for a playoff spot because of the weaker Eastern Conference. But as of right now, we have them at 23.
Yeah, Siakam. Yeah, that's about it.
So after the Raptors, we've got the Wizards at 22 and the Bulls at 21. But talking about the Wizards, I have mixed feelings about them. So I want you share your thing.
Okay, so my feelings about them right now, it's just, it's a little underwhelming how how good they've been, because we expected them to come in and be a competitive team now with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook together. But just, I don't know. They've had their games, where they shine, hit shots like against the Nets, but other than that, sometimes they can just be awful. So they're really on and off team. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's why I have mixed feelings, because they can destroy you and dish you out. They can dish the ball out. Great passing team, and they're sharing the wealth on offense. But then you flip it over on defense, and it's another mismatch. Their defense is atrocious when you watch them. Turnovers, it all adds up. Everything adds up to losses.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook's been averaging a lot of turnovers. He's got to fix that, man. So
it's almost like the only way the Wizards have been really winning games is outscoring teams.
Yeah.
Recently.
So now let's move on to the Bulls. They've just been on a very bad, so underwhelming after the Vucevic trade. Just not very good. I don't really have much to say about the Bulls. We got to get through these 20 other teams, man. This is gonna be a long video.
Do you really want us to talk about 10 minutes about Zach LaVine and Vucevic and all their struggles?
Yeah, it's been bad.
It's been not good.
So, if you really wanna have a full, if you're a Bulls fan, if you wanna have a full in-depth video, shout out to King of the Fourth Quarter. You can look at his second channel. He made a huge video on them and how their struggles have been. So.
Yeah. And so, Pacers we have next. I'm
gonna be honest.
I can't call them awful because I'm a fan of Brogdon and I'm a fan of some of their players, but they're better than the other teams we put on this list, but they're not good.
Yeah,
It almost shocked me a little when early in the season when they dished out Oladipo and started getting rid of their players, because I thought they were a competitive team.
Yeah,
ready to make
a competent, competitive team, ready to make a run. Good. Just they were a good team, and then they kind of just fell apart. I don't know. I was expecting them to do better than where they are right now, and where they are right now is not making the play-in, I don't think. Or actually, no, they are in the play-in, but
it's not looking too.
Yeah.
For them. And so Pacers, we'll see what happens. Same goes for our next team, which is the Pelicans. Over at our 19 spot, and
the Pelicans, man,
it's
so much talent, to be honest. Just I don't know.
It's not equating to win.
Yeah, I just don't know what it is, to be honest.
So,
but
before I go back to the Pelicans, let's go to our next team, and I want to make a comparison between them. So if you look at our next team on this list, we have the Hornets at 18, and this may come to a shock because Hornets obviously still a really good playoff contender, but when they lost LaMelo, it kind of really beat them.
Yeah.
But if you put the Hornets and Pelicans in the same game, the Hornets have their number because the Hornets defense is really good.
Yeah,
they're young talent, and they're not making bad decisions.
Another big thing about that I'd like to compare to them is those two teams both have good young talent with, LaMelo, Terry Rozier, and there's like Malik Monk. And the Pelicans have Zion, Lonzo, Brandon Ingram's pretty young, just a lot of talent. But I just think the chemistry is a big thing, and just the way they play with a lot more heart than the Pelicans, the Hornets, and that's why they've been succeeding a lot more and better.
Yes.
And the Knicks played the Pelicans 2 times, and both times, I was watching. It's just they have a lot of turnovers a lot of the time. So
yes, but
just
coming in on our 17th spot right after the Hornets is the Golden State Warriors, and
this may come to a shock to some like diehard fans, but it's just our opinion, by the way. So.
And the reason it's just the Warriors. If you look at the other teams, I can't think of a team. They're based on record, they're above a few of these teams, but talent-wise and how they performed, it's just like you can't put them above.
I mean, let's be honest. It's just the Steph Curry show, to be honest. Draymond's been okay. Wiseman's been injury-prone this year. But Steph Curry's been dropping like 50 a lot of games, 40-point games all over the place. But one man can't do everything, and
no.
The NBA is a team sport for a reason. So you just gotta think about it. And if you are the Warriors capable of beating in the playoffs or just in the regular season? Well, or just beating consistently teams like the Spurs, the Grizzlies, the Hawks, the Mavs, teams like that. But yeah, that's our thoughts.
Yeah. So 16. This is best team of all. Spurs. I wish they were, but they went on a skid, 4-game skid if I'm wrong, but 3-game skid. But the last 2-3 games, we've made a comeback a little bit.
Yeah, DeMar hit that game winner.
Well,
that was
as
pretty
of
cool.
30 minutes ago, I checked the Pacers score. They were beating the Pacers by 20, but
yeah,
as of right now,
this is probably pre-recorded.
We have them at 16 because I want to put them ahead of the Knicks, but I can't based on record. But the talent, Aldridge retiring and leaving us, it was a bummer. But the Spurs are getting old quick. They got a few young stars, but I still think they're a decent team, and they have the best coach ever.
Yeah, best coach ever. That's agreed on. But DeMar been trying to do stuff. Their young guys have been decent. DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, guys like that. But DeMar hit that game winner recently. That was pretty exciting. They're on that comeback. Spurs always make their run to the playoffs, towards the end of the season. It's a very rare occasion when the Spurs don't make the playoffs, so expect them to do pretty well, closing out.
Yeah, and 15, this is another quick team because the Grizzlies, they honestly are really talented. They have such good talent, but they are, this is a matter of fact, they are a boring team to watch.
Yeah,
I don't think it excites anyone but Grizzly fans to watch them play.
The recently, they were shooting lights out from 3, but that kind of came to an end. And then, Jaren Jackson Jr. has been out this entire year. Ja Morant's been trying to step up, but man, just don't know, to be honest, with the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are in play-in right now.
Yeah, and I'm undecided if I had to predict now if they're going to make the playoffs, because early in the season they were 5 games below 500, maybe even 2-3, but not the point. The point is then they make a run, but then they drop a few games. It's they might barely make it, or they might barely miss.
Yeah, and as of right now, actually, the Grizzlies are beating the Nuggets by 10 in the fourth, so that's pretty good. They're a very decent team, not the best, not the worst. That's why they're 15th. That's why they're literal middle of the pack. So, it's just, I don't know. It's been okay. But I think they'll make the playoffs, or at least play in. So,
next we have our 14, 13, and 12 spots. These are all very close, these 3 teams. But when it comes down to it, we have the Hawks at 14, based on just pure shooting and defense. I put all these defenses pretty equal. I think they're all at the same level. But then you look at the offenses, and it's a clear difference. So Hawks would go 14 for us.
Yeah.
They have a few shooters with Trae Young, Lou Williams acquired at the trade deadline, and Karud, and they have a few shooters, but it's mainly an inside game. And then you'll see it a sec, but our next 2 teams, Mavericks and Celtics, the Hawks have a few big guys. Capella's been great. Collins has been great. And we move over to 13 Maverick, and Porzingis and Doncic, and part of it. It's been better than the Hawks.
Yeah, the Hawks. They did make a huge jump to 4th right now, but they're being caught up by teams like the Celtics and Knicks, and the Mavericks are just. They're good. I'm not a huge. Luka is a great player. Porzingis, I'm a Knicks fan. You know my thoughts about Porzingis. So not a big fan of the Mavs, to be honest, but give credit where credit's due. They have been a pretty decent team, and,
Agreed, yeah.
You can't really take away their, they're capable of beating teams that are really great, like the Blazers, like the Knicks.
They're a fundamentally great team.
So, and if you didn't know, Luka's got to keep his temper in check, though, because 5 more technicals for him, and he's going to get suspended. So
that would be bad.
That would be really bad for them with this playoff push. And here, Drew, why don't you take it away for the Celtics real quick?
I like the Celtics. I think they're a great team. Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown they've been awful, frankly, is what it is. And then you look at Jason Tatum, and he's been a beast on the court. But he's coming out of the shell. He's going out of his comfort zone to make shots, be clutch. He's clutch against the Warriors. And the Celtics, I think that I really do. I believe that they will be a good playoff team this year and for years to come, just based solely on the coach, the talent. So that's why I put down their offense over the Hawks and Mavericks. So.
Yeah. So now we have the close to the top 10. Now we have the Miami Heat at 11. The Heat right now, Bam Adebayo just hit a game winner a couple of days ago, or a day ago, and pretty exciting. But as a Knicks fan, we needed them to lose that game because they're right on our tail in those wins. So Their recent NBA Finals appearance haven't. Usually they pick it up near playoff time, and they have been so far. And Bam Adebayo has been really great for them this year, even better than last year. He keeps improving, and what do you have to say about the Heat, Drew?
Frankly, I have nothing to say but to make this content.
Yeah.
I'd say.
The Heat are...
I don't watch the Heat.
Yeah, the Heat are it's a team where you see the highlights, you see they're good. You don't really... they're a somewhat exciting team to watch, though, with their core.
When they're on, watch them, but it's not like a team you go out to watch. You hear they're on, you're like, oh, I'll go watch them. But
yeah.
So I do think Butler has been picking it up, possibly an MVP. But
so now
next,
moving on
here we go.
to a team that you would want to watch, and I advise you to watch. And Drew knows this because it's showtime in New York with the Knicks at 10. Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking about this, but I'll shorten myself a little bit. But first I want to talk about Randall, most improved player in my eyes, and I think in a lot of people's eyes. He's just been unbelievable. He's had, as of recording this, could have another tomorrow, but he's had 4 straight 40-point games. 30-point games. A 44-point game, and they were against pretty decent teams. He's just been, all-star. I'm making a case for all-NBA power forward. Just leading the team. You gotta appreciate what he's done. Then we have RJ Barrett, who's been red hot in the clutch recently against the Grizzlies. Has a lot of closeout threes. Been 3-point shooting has been great. And then we got Quickly and D Rose coming off the bench, providing that spark. I just love the chemistry on this team. You can always see them having fun in the game, and just, when they're on, basically. So, yeah, I don't know. I think right now we're 6th in the East, and but we're tied with win-wise with the Celtics and the Hawks, who are 5th and 4th. So, that's why we had them 10, above the Hawks and Celtics, is because just. We're in a hot streak right now, 6 straight wins. Let's try and keep it going tomorrow, as of recording this. Alright, well, enough about that. Let's move on to the 9th team, who are the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers have been really great.
This is a great team.
Yeah, they've always been a great team. It's just... there's not really a year where the Trailblazers have been awful in the past recent years, and mostly because of Damian Lillard, the guy you see in the center of the picture right here, center of their team. He also has CJ McCollum to back him up, and Carmelo Anthony as well. So just great. Yeah, I don't know. It's a great team. Great players, fun to watch, So, I've always liked the Trailblazers a lot.
I would even put them as on top, one of the top teams on my list to make a finals run, possibly.
Yeah, they're always decent in the playoffs.
Our next team, this team I don't want to talk too much about, because when AD and LeBron come back, the Lakers, neither might have any. I think that they will be back, possibly, but as of right now, without AD and LeBron,
they're pretty awful.
I don't think they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance.
AD's going to be coming back soon. LeBron, we don't really know, but hopefully before playoff time for them, they can, make that finals run with AD and LeBron. But right now, without them, it's kind of not a great team. But, not too much to say about them since their 2 best players are injured. You can't really judge anything off of them right now. So, Moving on, 7th seed.
7, yes.
We have
the Denver Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets, yes.
With Jamal. We, as of a few days ago when we were working on this, we had Jamal Murray when he wasn't injured. We had him up at like 5, but with that injury, it has affected them.
But right now, MVP runner, I think first in MVP runnings, Nikola Jokic has been carrying their team right now to a great spot. They also recently acquired Aaron Gordon, who's been a great three-point shooter, just a great flow of offense for this team. And, they're always pretty great in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They've been improving. So, anything?
I think Denver's pretty good. I do think they'll be a playoff team just like last year, and possibly a run. Don't think deeper, too deep, maybe a playoff win or 2, series win or 2, but overall we have another 7th spot.
So
and
now,
6 teams above them, we have the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, these are I think we're moving on to like the elite of the elite,
The Bucks always seem to make runs, or they always, even if you're thinking who's at the top of the standings, the Bucks are always every year.
Yeah, the Bucks
for 4 straight years.
Yeah, ever since Giannis kind of,
and then they get better by acquiring Drew Holiday.
Yeah, Giannis has always, ever since Giannis became Giannis, they've always stood at that like top 3 seed mark, and no signs of slowing down with these moves they're making. Drew Holiday, all these guys they're acquiring are just helping to their team. So yeah, the Bucks are always just like the standard team that'll all, the Raptors were that team a couple years ago where they'd always make the top 3 seed, always be a great team. Never really make a finals run, but this year they could. We don't know, but I don't know. The Bucks are somewhat. They're not my favorites to come out on top of the East, but we'll get to a couple of those.
They're definitely up there.
Yeah, they're definitely up there.
And another elite team who's.
Here's the top 5.
These are the elite. These are the elite teams.
Yeah, to round up to top 5 elite teams, the 5th elite team has to be, or I guess doesn't have. It gets really debatable here, to be honest, just personal preference. But for us, we have the Los Angeles Clippers at that 5th spot. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. It's just their chemistry. The chemistry has really improved this year. You can see it in their team, and also just how do you even the talent on their team? They're making great plays, and they've shown no signs of stopping as they have 40 wins this far into this.
But you may be thinking, how are they not higher? We haven't talked about the Suns yet. We haven't talked about the Sixers or all those teams. But people be like, they've beaten the Suns. How could they not be the number 1 team or 2 or 3 or 4?
Well,
the Clippers, there's not much error with these next 4 teams. You'll see why.
It's the thing about the Clippers is, they have a lot more depth than last year, and just it's really worked out for them how their rotations have been. But we just think that these next 4 teams are just a little bit better. It's really close here. But now we have 4th. We have one of my favorites to win the East. That is the Philadelphia 76ers. With Joel Embiid been playing absolutely amazing. Ben Simmons playing absolutely pretty great. Just Tobias Harris also playing really great. Good core, Drew, what do you have on them?
I totally agree. Sixers will dominate you on the offensive end, and just when you think you finally gotten to them and gotten them tired, they'll pull back and they'll hang tight and keep you out of games.
Yeah.
Embiid has been insane. Simmons has stepped up a little bit. In Matisse Thybulle, his defense he's one of the best defensive rookies.
Yeah.
To watch.
So, that's the Sixers. And moving on, we have the top 3 teams in the NBA in our eyes. And that first team third team has to be, even though they are technically number 1 in the NBA right now, in our eyes, we have the Jazz at number 3. And we have the Jazz there because even though the wins are very indicative thing of who's better than who, the Jazz just their team when you watch them, you can see the chemistry. That's really where they succeed, and that's how they're succeeding. Because when you look at their roster, there's no superstars. You got Donovan Mitchell, you got Rudy Gobert, you got Mike Conley. But other than that, there's no one too noticeable, you know what I mean? With the Jazz.
Yeah, but the thing about them is they can play the whole game and they're just fine. But
yeah, there's no stopping for them. They just hit 3 after 3 after 3. They can just go on runs. Yeah.
We'll see why we put them at 3 wins.
And they also have 6th Man of the Year favorite, Jordan Clarkson. Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much why we put them there. But there's a reason why we put them there, and these top 2 teams are why. And these are the most debatable teams, I think. But the second team, we have to say, we gotta go with the Nets. And we gotta go with the Nets because, here, I'll state my reasoning, and then you say yours, Drew. I think we go with the Nets because just every single time I see them, you barely ever have a time where all 3 of their big 3, Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant are on the floor or playable. Every single time I tune into a Nets game, it's Kyrie's out, Kevin Durant's out, James Harden's out. It's always, it's just.
Oh yeah.
I think when they have their big 3, all of them in, they're the best team in the NBA. But right now, just injuries, personal reasons, they've got a lot going on, and I think just right now, I think that they have to be second to our next team. But Drew, what do you think?
Yeah. I compared to the next team, the defense, I do think the other team, Suns, might as well say it. We know Suns, the only thing we haven't mentioned. The defense is better on their own, but the offense, the Nets, blowing out really good teams.
Yeah.
You can't stop them when they're at their best. The Nets are great. I do think they're the favorite in the East to win the finals or make it even. So, keep it up. KD all them when he gets back from injury. So,
yeah.
And our final team is the Phoenix Suns, who have turned their season around completely.
The Suns went from a team who was borderline playoffs last year, had a great run in the bubble, but they get Chris Paul, they get that veteran presence. All of a sudden, they shoot up to really close second in the NBA and have 40 wins right now. Just absolutely insane. We just think the Suns are the best team in the NBA. If you watch them, they play with heart, they play with chemistry, they play with teamwork. Chris Paul with the assists, Devin Booker with his shooting, DeAndre Ayton with the rebounding. It's just a perfect balance of things. And there's just a flow when you watch them. you want it when they play against the Jazz. They're competitive. They put up a fight, and they win a lot of the time. So that's why we have them first. What do you think, Drew? About the Suns?
Yeah. So, Suns are just great. Like,
yeah, you can't even.
It's like, I don't know. If you had to critique them, you can't really. They're giving runs to every team.
It's hard to describe how they're this good. It's just that you watch them and you can just see it in their ball movement, their ability to score, their ability to play defense as well is a big thing for them, and it's just shown completely throughout this season. So that's probably going to wrap it up for this episode. Our first episode back from a little
break from
Easter.
We'll maybe do one in the next. Obviously, we'll maybe do one in a few days from now with maybe one or two more NFL mock drafts before the draft and about the actual draft in a week and a half.
Yeah, happy belated Easter. Since kind of took a break.
That one.
So thanks for watching the video. On screen right now, our playlist for things and our last video, which was a while ago. Go check it out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see ya. All right.
Yeah.
See ya.